So we want to look at what lies ahead for Donald Trump. We want to bring in constitutional law expert Jessica Levinson. Jessica, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You know, there's still so much we don't know about the indictment because it hasn't been unsealed yet. Can you walk us through some of the process of what we'll see over the next couple days?
So what we'll see over the next couple of days is basically some things that are completely conventional and some things that are different, because this, of course, is historic. We've never seen a former president face indictment. But what we're going to see is that the former president will be processed. He will be arrested. He will be arraigned. He will become part of the criminal justice system. There will be fingerprints that are taken. They will be electronic. There will be a mug shot. But we don't think that there will be the more theatrical aspects that typically happen. We don't think there will be a perp walk. We don't think that the former president will be handcuffed. What else can we expect? That Trump will not face time in custody prior to that arraignment, and that he will be released immediately on his own recognizance. We do not think that the former president at this point will have any time in a jail cell. And all of this, of course, will be coordinated with the Secret Service, the former president, his attorneys, and the DA's office. Again, it's strange to say, but normal steps taken in a completely abnormal situation.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the reactions this morning, too, as we still don't know a lot about what's going on. The former president actually just sending out an email to supporters asking for donations to a cause, it looks like. You know, now using this, it appears as a fundraising opportunity. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's been very consistent with the former president's approach all along. He said, this is a political witch hunt. I'm a victim. And since about a week ago, he said, I'm going to be arrested. He erroneously claimed it was last Tuesday, and he fundraised a great deal of money off of that. And I think part of the reason that he actually declared his candidacy to be president again very early is because he wanted this fundraising apparatus in place, but he also wanted to politically complicate things for prosecutors so that he could say when and if he was indicted in this case, and of course there are 3 other cases that are under investigation, he could say, well, they're just trying to take out the likely Republican nominee before the campaign has really even gotten off the ground.
I don't know that a lot of people fully understand, because I had even friends yesterday who were like, oh, if he gets indicted, he can't run for president. And I said, no, that's not necessarily true. There were 2 opportunities when he was impeached that he would not have been able to run again. But can you clarify for people? I mean, if this goes through, it goes to trial, he's held accountable, you know, for these alleged crimes, then he can still run for president.
Absolutely. So running for president, being elected president, all of those things are just political complications at this point. But if we look at what makes you qualified to run for the presidency, the Constitution lays out the exclusive qualifications. You have to be a certain age. He is. Lived in this country for a certain amount of time. He has. Born in this country. He was. And so I know it feels so strange for people. Like, how can you possibly be facing criminal indictment and potentially even a criminal conviction and still be able to run for the highest office in the land? And the answer is that you can. Now, there will be serious kind of practical and political complications if we ever get to the place where the former president, is convicted, he's sentenced to time in custody,
right,
and he is also elected to be the president. We're not there yet, excuse me, but I will say this does in no way legally disqualify him from being able to continue to run.
That must be what makes your job fun, looking at all these things, right? And some of the unprecedented turns that this has been taking. I do want to ask you, too, when it comes to the Constitution, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis earlier was speaking about the fact that he is not going to extradite the former president, Donald Trump, of course, who is currently in Mar-a-Lago at his estate there in Florida, if these charges come about, and you know he's not going to extradite him to New York. Isn't that unconstitutional? Do I remember that correctly?
You do, and Governor DeSantis, I believe, knows that. And for your viewers, I don't think it's going to come to that, because all of the reporting that we've seen indicates that the former president will in fact turn himself in, and that they are making those arrangements. I believe that the statements from District Attorney Alvin Bragg yesterday is that he basically alerted Trump's legal team and the former president himself, and that they are making arrangements. So I will just say what we're seeing a lot, and we'll see a lot in the coming days, are political arguments that sound legal but may have no particular legal basis.
Yeah. Well, we've heard that before, haven't we? So thank you so much for being with us, Jessica. We really appreciate you breaking all this down, and we'll continue to check in with you as the story is far from over.
Thank you.